Alors, my portrait by Fantin-Latour. Sitting for my portrait by Henri Fantin-Latour, he spoke about embarking upon the true path, nature, full of flowers indeed, but teeming nonetheless with the darkness of the soul. Being freed of everything he'd seen or studied, he would sit, he said, in front of a mirror and convene, as it were, with his reflection, inspired by the fantasies, the gleam, the sublime uncertainties of the imagination, allowing him to unlearn all that he knew. And in fact, there is nothing more unknowable, yet more poignant than his peonies and Japanese cherry blossoms, nothing more severe, more subtle, more haunting than the colors of the walls lurking behind them, nothing more noble, more grave, more intimate than his portraits subsumed by the darkness of the soul. My ideal, he once explained, has always been to represent the highest possible degree of reality, things that remain visible just for a moment, flowers, fruit, our glances, our reveries, I suppose. Yet there is a painting whose table barely acknowledges the corner of the room, but whose walls do not, and still another whose fruit is splayed so emphatically no madam has ever envisioned such familiarity, neither amid the flailings of her first lover, nor with the birth of her last child. It confutes the mind to think of all of those who have sat for portraits before me. Charles Baudelaire, James McNeill Whistler, Edouard Manet, Auguste Renoir, Émile Zola, Claude Monet, Paul Verlaine, Arthur Rimbaud, a salon of subjects like no other. Yet like Manet, his pictures to this day are often rejected, or worse, by his own account, accepted out of pity, and hung high on the wall out of sight. You cannot imagine how sad I am, how sad they are when they come back. Despite all, he loves painting, loves depicting his subjects, reading, or at least holding a book open, or sleeping. And in his self-portraits, he always seems to be emerging from or returning to the shadows. There is really nothing gives him more pleasure. Painting is the whole of it, the only dream he has ever pursued. He worries only about whether a picture turns out right and whether winter will return enough spring flowers. In a letter to his parents, which fell into my hands, he wrote, "My work is all. It is my only consolation, the only thing that makes life bearable. If I didn't have that hope, I would have died long ago. In every other way, life is absurd. It's all illusions flying away. Happiness is transient. Then there are the sadnesses. But it is the end of those small happinesses, the darkness of the soul, I fear most." For Ross Bleckner and Edward Jones. Much of this text is based on Henri Fantin-Latour's letters to James McNeill Whistler, Edwin Edwards, Otto Scholderer, Hôtel d'Angleterre, Paris, France, January 9, 2017.